In this session, I will do a very high-level overview of the popular Linux distributions and give you a couple of hints of why would you choose one over the other. So let's get started. As I told you, it would be a very high-level discussion. Um, I will start with let's say the desktop distros, the popular desktop distros like Fedora. Fedora is one of it's a no it's a distribution with history. It's originating from Red Hat. It's a good and stable distro. Um, what else? Debian. I will tell you about them. I will write them down and then I will tell you about each of them. Um, Ubuntu. Mint. What else? Zorin. Elementary. Slackware. Also Arch, Gentoo, Manjaro, and there are hundreds like this. All of these distros that I wrote here are desktop environments. Um, this until here, these ones are more, let's say, complete and easy to use. They have a beautiful graphical environment. They have nice system management tools, and you can just, even if you don't have experience with Linux, you can just install a distro like this and start using it. There's no special knowledge involved to install a distro like this. Not so much for these ones, for Arch and Gentoo, which needs to anyway. They have a you need some more knowledge to be able to install those. Also, Slackware is not hard to install or use, but it's one of the very now the oldest distribution from this list, and it's a bit geared towards advanced users, let's say, but not so much. You can play with it, there's no problem. And also Manjaro, which is based on Arch, but it's not so hard to use. It's like an Arch distro for users with not so much experience. So what else do I need to tell you about those? You need to be aware of the graphical environment that they are using and the distro that they originated from. So Fedora is originated from Red Hat. Debian is Debian. It's an origin in itself. Ubuntu first originated from Debian, but I think now they are having their own origin. I don't. I'm not very familiar with Ubuntu actually. It's one of the very popular distros that I haven't used actually at all. Mint is also Debian based. Zorin and Elementary, I don't know what they're based on. Maybe Debian, but they have really cool graphics. Elementary has its own um, desktop environment, which is called Pantheon. Slackware, as I said, it's a very old, one of the oldest Linux distribution. It's still updated. It received a new version this year. Um, Arch and Gentoo requires some efforts on the user side to install, and there's some compilation involved and things like this. And Manjaro, this is a also I need to point out this is a rolling distro, meaning that it's updated very often. Anyway, so if you want a nice desktop environment, you cannot go wrong if you choose any of these first three, four, five names over here. If you don't have any experience with Linux, just pick one, um, play with it a bit until you uh, start to understand more things at least. Going further, there's another class of Linux distros which is called Enterprise. And here we have Red Hat, like the oldest enterprise Linux distro out there. We have Oracle. There is SUSE Enterprise. Don't know so much about SUSE. I haven't used it in quite some years. Um, there is Ubuntu LTS, I think it's called. CentOS, sorry. CentOS not so much since the beginning of this year, 2022, but it was one of the preferred options as an alternative to the commercial Red Hat. This one was free, and there are others, of course. But if you need to learn or install a enterprise distro, most often you will find one of these. All right. There's another class, let's say, of Linux distros, and this is the lightweight, very small, light on resources distros. And here I can tell you about TinyCore. I did a couple of videos on TinyCore. You will find it on my channel. Also, Puppy Linux, Bunsen Labs. It's Debian-based distro, also very lightweight. Antiques, and very important, Alpine. It's a very lightweight distro, but it's a bit more modern, and it has a updated repository. If you want to be I don't know, very conservative with resources, of course, one of your best choices would be TinyCore, but it's not so easy to work with it and to install actual current application and libraries. Maybe you will have to compile those or something like that. With Alpine, it's much more easy. You will find in the repository almost anything that you want. So all of these are very lightweight on resources. What other types of distro do we know? There is this, let's say, security-oriented Linux distros. And here we have Kali, which I don't even remember how it was called in the past. It had another name, doesn't matter. There is another one which is called Parrot. These are actually, Kali was Debian based, I think, and these are actually normal desktop Linux distributions that are bundled with a lot of security tools for scanning, for um, attacking, SQL injection, whatever. You have all kinds of Wi-Fi tools, things like this. no one says that you cannot install all of those tools on normal Debian or Fedora or something like that. And you actually can. There's no problem with that. And I would also mention here Unix, which is geared towards anonymity. Unix tries to anonymize all your traffic through the Tor network. And there's another distro which is called Tails, something with amnesic. I don't know. The thing with Tails is that it's not writing anything persistent. As soon as you reboot the system, every trace that might lead to your actions, it's deleted because it was in volatile memory, and that's it. So this is for the security-oriented distros. And I would also give you a couple of examples of other types of other type of distros, which let's say are the appliance distro, and mostly the network and security appliances. And here we have most popular would be pfSense, which is FreeBSD that is working as a router and firewall, and it has all kinds of security features. You have IPS and NATing, extended logging, VPN, um, HTTP proxy, and all of the features that you will find in UTM, let's say, like a Unified Threat Management Appliance. So pfSense would be one of the options. Many of you maybe already know about it. There's another one very close to pfSense, which is called OPN Sense. It's a fork, actually. And there are quite a few. I would also say Untangle, ClearOS, Endian, and one which is very dear to me, which is called ViOS. ViOS. It's successor of an older operating system called Viata. And this is also a router with security features. It's a very nice one. It has a very powerful CLI. It looks almost identical, or not identical, but very much alike with Juniper CLI. And very intuitive to configure. I quite enjoyed it, and I used it in production a couple of times. There is a free version and a commercial version. I don't know about any graphical interface of this, but there's really no need for that. If you are familiar with Cisco and Juniper, you will be right at home with ViOS. So there are others also, but these ones that I told you about here are like the most popular. Hope that it clarified a couple of things or questions that you had about this multitude of Linux distros. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.